Hey everybody, this is Hunter Pierrotti, and you're listening to the Garrett Smith Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, today on the podcast we have Mr. Hunter Pierrotti, and Pierrotti is a fitting name because some of you will remember he is the man behind the social media roasting sensation Barf Crow, and he's also a guitar player for Bart Crow. Hunter, how's it going today?
Man, it's going good. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm finally getting out of my house.
Nice. It definitely feels good to do that right now because sometimes it's few and far between when we're able to actually pull that off.
Oh yeah, man. It's been very few and far between for me.
Yeah, when you're not at rehearsals and touring, what are you doing? Because you managed to stay pretty busy and do lots of traveling. So what's the quarantine time been looking like?
Man, honestly, I've kind of used quarantine as kind of like my chill and like reset time. And I've been doing a lot of practicing, really, like a lot of playing. And honestly, people wouldn't think this, but my networking has gone to a whole nother level just because it's so easy to reach out to people right now because you can't really go out and meet them in person. So reaching out to them over social media has been a breeze. So I've been doing a lot of like social media collabs and just practicing, talking to people. But other than that, I've just been really kind of laying low and trying to focus on being better, going back into playing better than I left it,
Yeah. On the previous episode, I had Brie Bagwell on here, and I told her, I said, people keep asking me, what are you doing with your free time? What are you doing with this extra quarantine time? I was like, extra? Man, I feel busier. Because I still work 8 to 5, and I do music as soon as I get off, and, that's like having 2 full-time jobs, and it really doesn't let up.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Honestly, I do kind of feel almost a little bit busier just because I have a set schedule now. I'm not just always up, because it's kind of hard to do stuff when you're on the road. Yeah. But when you're at home all the time, I mean, you can set out your schedule and you can I can pretty much set out work from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, honestly.
That's great. What's been different as far as your actual schedule? Because when you're traveling, how do you manage to work in different projects and do all that kind of a thing?
So when I'm traveling, I have to kind of go around my schedule if I'm going to go do any kind of in-studio recording or anything like that. But as far as like recording from home and stuff, I can usually kind of take that on the road. But with the quarantine schedule, I've just been able to kind of do it all whenever. So I've been able to pick up a lot more work. But as far as my daily, like day-to-day schedule on the road, and it's kind of like, most musicians, it's kind of like, you're sleeping usually on your bunk or whatever until you get to sound check, and then you gotta load in and sound check, do all that, and then it's kind of like a waiting game, just kind of sit back and hang out with the band until showtime. And usually in that time, a lot of guys work out. I've kind of neglected the working out thing, so I feel that. Yeah, I really want to be a workout guy, but I'm not yet. I haven't hit that stage, but so a lot of times I'll kind of like mess around on the computer and maybe work on some tracks that I've been working on, or just kind of hang out really. But and then it's showtime, and then load out and on to the next town or back to the hotel until we leave the next day or whatnot. But I've tried to keep the same kind of time schedule as far as when I wake up and how late I stay up, just so like it's not going to be like on a different complete schedule when I go back. But I don't know, that's probably overthinking it.
Yeah, well, I was kind of the same way. I thought, hey, while I am at home and working from home, what I'll do is I'll just take advantage of the opportunity to get in better shape, learn how to play guitar the right way. But instead, I thought, no, I'm just going to let the guitar sit in the back room. I'll start a podcast instead.
Hey, yeah, man. Podcasts are awesome.
It's been fun. I've had like several people say, hey, let's do one together. I'm like, I don't have time for that. And I was doing one of the 100 million live streams that's been going on is one that I was doing. And in the middle of it, AJ Gale was like, you should do a podcast. You really should. I was like, you know what? I'll try one. I was kind of like was it Frank the Tank in old school? He's like, we'll do one. And it turned into, I believe you are episode 10. So you are the double digit, sir.
Heck yeah. Number 10, baby.
So as a musician, you've worked on several projects. Nobody just wakes up and jumps right into the Bart Crow band. And obviously you've done a lot of things for your career before Barf ever came around, because I'm going to kind of put the Barf Crow saga, after the Hunter Pierrotti parody story. So tell me about your early influences. Like, how far back does your story as a musician go?
I think what really kind of made me want to start playing is, well, I went to a private school pretty much my whole life, so there was always a worship band for like chapel on Wednesdays, and I was always kind of involved in the media and music at church. But also my friends had a rock band in high school, and they were always playing around Dallas and like the Deep Ellum scene. So I'd always go hang out at their shows and, hand them guitars if they needed to, or just help them load in, anything like that. And then the guitar player for that band kind of started up his own kind of like studio in his house, and we recorded covers all the time and just kind of worked on trying to get his recording set up kind of as spot on as we could. And that kind of really got me into playing. And then I went to UNT my first year of college, and I was familiar kind of with the Texas music scene, but I knew who Randy Rogers was, and I knew who Cross Canadian Ragweed was, but I didn't really dive in any deeper than that. But I kind of wanted to be in a band, and I was scrolling through Craigslist looking at music gear, I think, one day, and for some reason, looking for a guitarist ad was on that same page, and it was a guy named Bo Hennessy out of Mount Pleasant, and he had just moved to Fort Worth. So I hit him up about it just to see kind of what he was looking for. He kind of asked me about my gear and if I'd ever played with anybody before, which I hadn't, as far as playing live goes, other than at church. So I came out for kind of like an audition, but we really just kind of jammed. And man, that was a good time. I got that gig, and we stayed gone pretty much every single weekend. So we were playing mostly in East Texas, but I mean, I just had a blast. There's something about, I've always really liked traveling, like going on vacations with my parents when I was younger. So I kind of looked at music as a way to get paid to travel. And I mean, that's kind of what it's turned into, but I also love playing, of course. But from Bo, I kind of took a break for a second and kind of just did church. And then the drummer from that band started playing with a guy named Casey Daniels. And he hooked me up with Casey Daniels, and I jumped on playing guitar for Casey for a little bit. And then from Casey, I played with a guy named Kanan Bryce. I played with Kanan for just a brief moment, but I really liked his music, and I just came up with the opportunity to play with a guy named Adam Byrnes.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was, I played with David when he first came to Texas. I was playing guitar for him, and man, I learned so much from the gig. Like, just a lot about. He comes from Nashville, so he had a lot about professionalism, and I mean, I just learned a lot of stuff as far, because I had never been in a band with a tour manager, and he didn't have a tour manager, but he kind of acted as our tour manager. So we had day sheets of when we're gonna arrive, what our hotel is, all kinds of stuff like that. And then I had a friend that I had met, because I still play at church when I can, and I got called to another church gig to fill in for a friend of mine, and I met Clayton Edwards, who's currently the bass player for Mike Ryan, but he was on the Bart Crow gig at the time, and they were looking for a steady guitar player because Bart hadn't had a steady guitar player in a while. They were kind of bouncing around. So I was at a show one night with David, and he was like, he called me afterwards, just kind of feeling around about what I wanted to do, telling me that they were looking for a guitar player, and I said, I don't know. I was really into what David was doing, and then the more I thought about it and talked about it, I thought, Bart, because I played Wear My Ring in that first gig. We covered that song. So I was like, man, that'd be a fun gig, especially to say that, you're playing with Bart Crow. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Cool. So I thought about it, and I called him back, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, man, I'm down to do an audition. So it was last year, on July 4th was my audition, and my audition was just playing a live show with him. So it was kind of like, you better know your stuff.
Yeah.
So I jumped in and played the whole show, and it went real well. And man, it's been really good ever since. Honestly, Clayton has recently left to be with Mike Ryan, and I miss him a lot, but we still hang out and talk. So it's all cool.
That's awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, when you joined Bart's band, you already had the Barf Crow account going on.
I did. I started the Barf Crow account in, I believe, either end of May or June. So it had been going for a bit.
So I'll kind of like loop us back to how that kind of started. So that we formed like a Venn diagram of overlap and story. But tell us how Barf Crow came about, because it obviously didn't go back to your church playing days. I'm trying to picture you sitting there roasting the pastor during a sermon. But I think I first saw the account it was either June or July, and I remember the first meme I saw, I think was one that Bad Truth shared, and it was like the Trojan horse meme. And somebody texted it to me like at midnight. It was like, dude, look at this. I was like, who made this? And then more and more I started to see it. So tell us kind of like how that all came about.
Yeah, so I was riding in the truck one day with David. I think we were going somewhere pretty far away for like a radio interview, and I tagged along just to play acoustic. And we just kind of, trying to pass time. And he was talking to me he was telling me Nashville stories and stuff, and kind of told me about these meme pages. I think, one was a Twitter account called it was not Jake Owen, but the account was called Cake Owen or something. I don't know, something like that. It was like cake, but anyway, he was that one, and then there was Music City Memes was the other one. And
oh yeah. He
told me it was mainly the Twitter account that would like seriously dig deep into like roasting these people. And he told me some great posts, and I like actually went back and a long way in that Twitter account. It's still up, and read some of them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this guy getting away with it? And I don't know, I just, after looking at those accounts, I just started like, because I always get like things that pop up in my head that kind of remind me of certain artists or something, and then I was just like, I don't know, I feel like I could do this. So I was like sitting, and just things kept coming to me one day, and it's kind of like a songwriter writing a song, it's just like, it hits you out of nowhere. And that Trojan horse one, kind of, because I was thinking about that band and the relation between Caitlin and Cleto, and I was like, how can I turn this into something fun? So I came into that. I came out with that meme, and a lot of people liked it. So I was like, I'll keep going with it, and I think I had the account for 3 or 4 months, and it gained, I think when I left, it was like 2,100 followers or something in that amount of time. It was crazy. And my phone, I had to turn my Instagram notifications off because I was constantly getting notifications, not just likes and comments, but messages. Like, people would message me all the time telling me, and it was not, I never got a hate message about it. It was
really?
Always like, never got a hate message. It was always, dude, keep it up, we love it, or whatever. Even today, when people, they know it's, some people know, a lot of people don't even know it's me still, but, or that it was me, but when I tell them, they're like, man, why'd you stop? And it's always been like that, which is cool, because I had a fun time doing it, but yeah, man, it was great.
Well, it was so crazy how quickly that whole thing took off, because I noticed that, like, when I first saw it, I noticed the meme started pouring on, but then the expansion of how many people you were roasting grew so quickly that I got a little nervous, because that was right about the time I put out a music video. And I was like, oh man, I'm glad I'm just under the radar enough to where he won't roast me. And then I thought, well, crap, what if that's like the one way I get out there? It's like this guy like gets discovered. But it was at the same time people started thinking that it was me. And when I was listening to your interview with Quaid over on the Quaid Things podcast, I love how everybody thought it was Quaid. I thought it was Quaid, and I'd never met Quaid in person. Like, we followed each other for a while, but I was like, this looks like something he would post. And I think he had mentioned like Caleb Alamon did somebody that everybody thought it was him, and I'm kind of like, no, I don't know who it is. And people kept asking me, like, it didn't really go away. And I had a couple people ask me twice. Like I told them, I was like, it's not me. I don't know who it is. My introduction to a lot of people isn't going to be, just dissing them, but I don't know who it is. And then I would say that, and then I remember there was one artist, one of the people that I was on a group chat with when we first saw the Trojan Horse. And she texted me like 3 weeks later. Was like, "Are you sure you're not it?" I was like, "I promise."
Man, so many people everybody just thought it was everybody, which was crazy. But that's one thing I never anticipated was really people caring enough to even try to find out who it was.
Yeah.
I thought people would be curious, but I never thought they would dig in very deep. But I kind of ran with it once because I thought there was no way that they could ever figure out it was me. So I kind of ran with it and tried to play with it, and it kind of became its own thing, which I think kind of helped the page's growth.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned being scared that you were going to get roasted or whatever, because a lot of people, I had artists hitting me up wanting me to roast them. They were like,
yeah,
"Can you please make one?" Because it was good publicity. There was a lot of large artists, their actual main accounts followed that account.
Yeah. It is free publicity because everyone you roasted is somebody that, obviously the audience knows who they are. So in a way, it's kind of like free publicity if somebody was to get roasted.
Right. Exactly. And, till this, so, I basically turned that account into my personal account when I was done with the page. And, to this day, Pat Green still follows my account.
That's one of the smartest moves I've ever seen. So it's like, remember, kids, if you're just starting off, start off incognito, roast everyone, and then just keep your followers.
Well, I was like, because what my initial move was make it look like a spam page. So I kind of made it look like one of those Instagram, because when I first quit it, I didn't just delete the page. I just deleted all the photos, changed the profile picture and bio to look like one of the fake pages that try to get you more Instagram followers. It was like the bio was like, want more Instagram followers? Go to this link or something,
Yeah.
So it was very under the radar when it left. People were still following the account, but they didn't know what the account was. They just thought it went away.
Yeah.
So when I started posting my main account stuff, then I think some people realized, but some people didn't until I did the Quaid Things podcast and posted about me being Barf.
Oh, yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I looked, I was like, I was like, we're following each other. Cool. It's like,
yeah, exactly. So to anyone who's listening to this podcast that follows me that didn't even know they were following me, that's why.
Surprise. Well, and it makes sense because I mentioned one of the artists that thought I was Barf. I was in this group chat and I was like, hey, have y'all heard Quaid's podcast? Like, he got Barf Crow on there. And one of them goes, who was it? And I messaged back and I told them, and she messaged back, she's like, apparently I'm following him. I didn't know this. I don't know if I've met him. So I think several of us were kind of like, oh, cool. We actually know who this is, whether we did or not.
Yeah. And that was kind of another thing that I thought people would never find out because, pretty much no one knew who I was because I just got on the gig with Bart. I hadn't been around. I'd been around bands, but I haven't really commingled with anybody. I'd actually met and played a show, the same bill as Flatland Calvary before, and the guy I was playing with was talking to Cleto and Caitlin, so I had talked to them before. I actually hung out with Caitlin's band it was Larry Joe Taylor's Cool Mountain Nights Festival up in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And I hung out with Caitlin's band pretty much the entire time. Caitlin and Cleto kind of did their own thing, but her band I had a good time hanging out with them. I don't remember her bass player's name, but he was super cool. I think he plays for, honestly, I forget. I think it's Caleb Sherdam or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember when I interviewed Jonathan Sines on episode 5, he's Flatland's bass player, and we were talking about parody accounts and the Twitter fight between Casey Donahue and Kyle Park and how funny it was. And
wait, what? There was a fight between them on Twitter?
They had like a fake feud where it was so overblown. It was like obviously fake, but they just kept roasting each other for like 3 months or something. It went on for a while. And it was hilarious. And I mentioned to him, I said, yeah, a lot of people thought I was Barf Crow, and we kind of laughed, but I had no idea if you and Flatland were cool or not. So I immediately, like, right after I said it, I kind of brushed into the next topic. Like, I'm going to skip right along.
Yeah, I don't really know any of them that well. I wouldn't even say that. I mean, we're acquaintances. We've run into each other a couple of times. I actually was at Magnolia Motor Lounge in Fort Worth before this whole pandemic thing hit, and I think their guitar player and their merch guy and a couple of them were at Mags, and I was talking to the guitar player for a little bit, and I mean, I don't think they even know. I think Caitlin knows, but I don't know because I haven't talked to her about it. But when we played the Texas Country Music Cruise this past October, and I mean, bar next to me, and she knew I played with Bart, and we talked, and she never brought it up, and she was super cool, and it was all cool. I mean, nothing ever happened. They're not as butthurt as people would think that they were.
Yeah, which is always a plus. Were you ever afraid of that? Like once, and I'll get into this part in a second, but once people kind of knew who you were you afraid of anybody kind of coming out and being like, how dare you, or that was messed up?
I was terrified.
Since I just forgot what I had just said, I'm going to let everyone know our phones cut out briefly, so we took a pause, but we are back. And what we were just talking about was backlash and being afraid of things of that nature, but I'm going to actually backtrack a little bit. So this account grew, had a huge following. The roasts were getting funnier and funnier. When I was on the last episode with Bree Bagwell, we were talking about the South Park video where you had the video
oh my gosh,
that. And
that's one of my favorite ones.
Likewise, I almost spewed coffee all over my table when I saw that one. I mean, it was hilarious, and I asked Bree about it. She thought it was funny too. But what led ultimately to you getting rid of the account and people going a little far and trying to discover you?
Yeah, so I was. Like I said, I'd never anticipated people going to extreme lengths to try to find out who was behind the account. But it got to a point where if you go and look at, I guess, someone's Instagram account, you can even see the last couple of digits of their phone number. So people were trying to do that, trying to find, people were trying to, see who they knew in their phone that had the same last two digits of my phone number, which is kind of weird to me, but
yeah.
They were trying to triangulate the phone number or whatever. I don't know. Trying to see where I was, but apparently what ultimately ended up happening was someone on Parker McCollum's crew knew how to do, it's IP address, how to, track your IP address, which is all next level. I don't understand stuff for me because I'm not
that would send my anxiety through the roof. That would creep me out so bad.
Yeah, so I don't really know what all he obtained, but this is the only thing that was attached to my Instagram account, which was my phone number. I was like, I'm not putting an email on it.
No.
Because pretty much all my emails have my name in it. So I was like, I'm only going to put my phone number because none of these people have my phone number, and you can't see my phone number. Which I thought.
Yeah.
But apparently you could see the last two digits, which didn't end up mattering, I don't think. But apparently when you obtain the IP address or something, he can look, I guess, I don't know what all they could see. But my email, they got my email address, which had my first and last name, and all they did was look up that name. And obviously saw I was kind of a part of the scene. I was playing with Bart. So he, like that group of bands found out, the Co Wessel and Parker McCollum, Cody West group found out. So that they all kind of started.
The Texas Music Pickers spotlight knew.
Right. So a lot of the band people messaged me, and I'm friends with Dre that is with Co, and was drumming for him at the time, and he kind of hit me up and kind of warned me. He was like, hey, man, people are saying this. I don't know if it's true or not. I probably wouldn't buy into it, but I'm just letting you know they're saying it. And that's when I told him, I was like, well, yeah, man, I am doing that was me. So I'm kind of in some trouble now. I don't know what to do. So I was freaking out. I was terrified. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I just started this gig with Bart, and the whole thing is based off a picture of Bart, and it's like his name.
Yeah,
so
how nervous do you get when you're running an account like this and the guy who is originally spoofed by it hires you and then your name gets out there? Like, what's that like?
Dude, it was terrifying. I was like, I thought I was going to get fired, and I was like, man, no one was ever going to hire me for their gig again. So like the next couple of weeks, I guess it kind of started spreading. My name started spreading to certain people. And we were on a bus run, and we had came in the night before. We're sitting on the bus and waiting to leave, and we're all sitting in the front lounge in those like little booths. And I was like, just sitting there, having a great time. My mood was great. And Bart, it kind of got quiet, and Bart goes, "So Hunter, I've gotten about 10 messages this week. All of them's telling me that you were this Barf Crow account." He's like, and I told him that I know you and that there's no possible way that it could be you. And he's like, so I told him basically, I know you and they need to leave me alone about it. And I was like, and at that moment, my heart just sunk. And the only one in our entire band that knew, because I had to tell somebody, I had to have somebody in our band that I could talk to,
Yeah.
So Clayton knew because he's the one that got me on the gig. So I told him, and I literally told him that the night driving back from my audition, just so I could see what he would think. And he was like, "Man, I don't really think Bart's going to care that much." So when that happened, I kind of looked at Clayton and I was like, and he was giving me like these super scared eyes, like you're gone, dude. And I was like, oh no. So I texted him. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, man, I don't know. So that whole run,
I hate that. Like in those anxiety moments when you need some confirmation that you're going to be okay, and instead it's like, nah, might be screwed.
I just wanted him to lie to me. Just tell me it's going to be all right. And so we went on that whole run, and everything was fine. And I think either a week or two later, we played a show, and afterwards, we were playing at Stubbs in Austin. So he lives around there. So he was driving himself home. He was about ready to leave, and he was telling everybody bye, giving us hugs and whatnot. He came up to me, and as we embraced, he said in my ear, he was like, I got more calls, man. He's like, if you're this Barf Crow account, he said, man, I think it's cool. And he's like, but if you are this Barf Crow account, you need to do a better job at covering your tracks. And then he just walked away.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So I was freaked out, man. And eventually, the next week, I think we actually sat down and had a follow-up conversation. He was like, yeah, man, there's been a couple of people that were saying that I need to be careful and all this. And I'm like, why, man? He's like, I think it's hilarious. So, he thought it was hilarious. He kind of supported it, and he's like, man, honestly, I don't even know why you stopped. and that's been the reaction from most people when they hear about it.
Have you ever looked at some news item or some promotional story off the music scene and just gotten tempted to just throw one out there and be like, here's a one-off from Barf?
I come up with them a lot, and Bart, we became friends with the Bagwell group, so I'll come up with some every now and then and send them out in a group message or whatnot. I really don't. I have them in my head all the time. They pop up in my head all the time, but I just don't execute them anymore,
Well, I'm gonna take an opportunity for the podcast here. One thing I mentioned off air was, the opportunity to have a return roast as Barf, and when that was all going on, like I said, I had just put my music video out, and I thought, I filmed that video pretty low budget. If he catches wind of this and roasts it, whoever he is, or she, because I thought it would have been hilarious. It was just everyone thinks it's a guy out there because they see the Bart picture. But I was like, if he or she finds that video and roasts it, and everyone's like, oh, it's a low budget video, I'm like, oh no, it just crumbled. But now that, all is said and done, I got to thinking about it. I'm like, I'm kind of the opposite. I think it would be hilarious if Barf Crow roasted the Puerto Rians' music video. So what meme would have come from that video?
Man, honestly, I might have, because I went and watched it, and let me tell you, it was low budget, but I appreciate low budget music videos. Because, I mean, when people go back and watch successful people's first music videos, it's always like, oh my gosh, look at this. And it's always like super entertaining.
Yeah.
And for instance, John Wolfe put out a pretty low budget music video a while back. And I think they just shot it themselves. And it's incredible to watch, honestly. But I went and watched your music video, man. And I think that if Barf were to do something with it, I probably would have clipped the intro, right?
Yeah.
As a video. At Uncle Cracker.
Oh, hold on. Right after you said clip the intro, the phone cut out again.
Why does it keep doing that?
I was on pins and needles, like waiting for it.
I think I clipped the intro of the video, right? Because it's like that beach scene.
Yeah.
It's kind of got like the guitar in the background by itself, and I think I would clip it, and like halfway through, just kind of slowly have Uncle Cracker and Kenny Chesney pop up. Because that's what I was picturing. I was like, all right, when's Uncle Cracker going to pop out?
That's amazing. That is the best take on that I've ever heard.
You know what? Honestly, if you want some content for your page, I might just go ahead and make that.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
I'll get on that.
That one and the, because, it was one of those, it was kind of an intentionally low budget video for two reasons. One, because I'm broke as a joke, and two, because I was like, a video like that, the Gulf Coast is known for not being Bermuda. It's like you go there for a good time, but you don't want to spend a fortune. And I was like, I need to make a video of that. Like, I'm going to make a video that shows you don't have to spend a fortune to have a good time on the Texas Gulf Coast. And for the most part, I think that was the message that got conveyed. But I laughed. I'm one of those people that if I get a hater comment, I crack up laughing. So really, stuff like Barf Crow just resonates even more. And I saw some guy on YouTube was like, nice job trying to make the crappy Texas coast look good or something. That takes some work. I forgot what it was. It was kind of funny. And then right next to, I think there was a Karen on there who was just like, you should have done this off season. I love Port A, but not during spring break. I'm like, yeah, that would have been a great video.
I did read those comments. And I thought that was funny that she took the time to say that. I was like, man, you really take pride in Port A, huh?
Yep.
And it's funny you say that about yourself, that you kind of encourage like the hate comments because you think they're funny. Let me tell you somebody who took the Barf Crow beating super well, because I roasted this guy so hard. Multiple times, I think. And it was Rich O'Toole, man.
Oh, yeah.
he loved it. He loved it. We had a good time.
I cracked up when y'all posted, or you posted something. I don't remember which meme it was. And Rich commented, and he's like, man, this is great. And I knew it was coming, but I saw your reply, and it was like, oh, just wait. I thought, oh, no.
Yeah.
You had like the cartoon of the multiple people ganging up on somebody. It was like Charlie Stout, Barf Crow, Twitter.
Oh, yeah, so here's the thing. I was not a part of the Twitter account. That was someone else.
Oh, no, like the meme about Twitter ganging up on him, yeah. But I did want to mention that, because I think there has been some confusion over, well, is it Barf? Is it not? Did it continue? Did it not? And, I'm one of those people, I could tell by the tone of the humor that it was not you, because it was different. It was a little bit more caustic. And I thought, this isn't the same type of satire.
Right. It was totally different. And a lot of people would send me messages kind of like referring to stuff that I had no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like laughing off, like, yeah, whatever. And it took me a while to figure it out, but then someone was messaging me and like, oh yeah, I love what you said on Twitter. And I'm like, I don't have a Twitter. And then they're like, oh, there's a Barf Crow account on Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went and checked it out, and I was like, first off, super disappointed in it really wasn't that funny.
No.
And then, second off, I saw that they were putting out that song, which was kind of okay with me, because I was like, I might be able to run with this. But But yeah, so they put out that song, which was interesting. But they're, I believe, the same people. When I gave up the account name, now have the Instagram account now. So they remade the account with the same picture and are posting under the name now. So if you want to follow, I guess, a not as good Barf Crow, but still post some. He's on there.
Well, and there's another account that took a cue from you called Groupie Gang. I don't know if you saw that one. It's like this pink. I don't even know what the picture is, but the memes are kind of in the same style as what you were posting, but it was different. It was like it looked almost like those Valentines you hand out in elementary school. It's just like a little picture with one-liners on it. And I don't remember what all they posted, but there was one that it just had me rolling. It was if it walks like Parker McCollum and talks like Parker McCollum, it's probably Chris Colston. I was like, jeez. And so there were some people that I think thought that, oh, Barf returned as this. I was like, no, it's clearly different, but same tone.
There was a couple of pages that popped up kind of after Barf disappeared, and they all followed me on Instagram as soon as they started it. And so I kind of checked them out, and I think Groupie Gang, I kind of kept up with that one for a little bit, and they were putting some good stuff. They didn't really post much. I don't know how much they post.
It wasn't a lot.
The ones that they did were quality, I feel like.
Yeah. Shout out Groupie Gang.
Yeah. I always tried to post, which I think it kind of got overwhelming because I tried to post something every day.
Yeah.
You know, so I was trying to post a different meme every day. So I was trying to work on stuff, and I would try to like do it in advance, and then get behind, and then trying to be out on the road with a whole band that doesn't know it's me. You know, I'm sitting next to them at like dinner, making these memes, trying to like tilt my phone away from them.
Yeah, I noticed that it was pretty frequent, and that helped it build because I was at a conference for work in Fort Lauderdale when somebody first sent me the Trojan horse meme. And right about that time, every day something was popping up. And the people in the group chat I was in with, I was like, this is hilarious. And so it got to the point we were kind of waiting for it. Like if we'd gone throughout the day and hadn't seen one yet, it's like, all right, are we going to get one today? And that's when everyone started guessing, like, who is this? But that was hilarious. I'm sitting there on the beach in Fort Lauderdale, just like looking at memes of stuff happening in Texas.
Yeah, I tried to post something just to kind of, and some days I would like forget to post it. I tried to do it like around noon every day, and sometimes I'd forget and post it like at night. And there was times where I would like not post for a couple of days, and I'd get messages like, "Hey man, what's up?" It was funny, like people expected it, but it was cool. Yeah.
Well, I think guys like Quaid and me were just happy that there was confirmation it was not us. we were not out there roasting everybody, but. I'm just impressed that you were able to do that, and now people know who you are for both the roasts and because of your musical work, because it'd have been a little bit of a bummer if people were like, oh, that's just the guy that roasted everybody, and then it went away. But no, people now, like you said, they're following your account because they were following Barf, but now they see you with the guitar, they see you playing for the Bart Crow band. You know, it was one of the most, I don't know if I would say accidental, but somewhat accidental and genius ways of getting your name out there. I mean, I've never seen anyone pull that off before.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, some people would message me and be like, you know, asking about the account, and I'd be like, this entire thing is a marketing scam for myself. But it really wasn't. But once it kind of went away, I was like, well, I mean, I put so much work into the page and gained so many followers, it'd be a shame for me not to use the page now.
Oh yeah, like
just let it go to waste.
If you just start a page from scratch and you start building up, and it is tough to build followers after a certain point. So I mean, that was a really cool way to do it. I don't know that lightning could be trapped in a bottle twice. I wouldn't go telling everybody, hey, you're starting up, just go roast everybody and you'll be good.
Oh no, not at all.
You'll get your IP hacked, but you know, other than that.
Yeah, make sure you use someone else's computer or something.
Well, speaking of, you know, the more serious music career and the things that you've got going on, you actually sent me something you've been working on the side, and it's really cool, and I'll play it here in a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your side projects.
Yeah, so I do a lot of, I do studio work for anybody, really, that I get hired for, but I get hired a lot by my buddy down at H&H Studios in Greenville. His name's Holden Mason. And he does a lot of projects. He really works with people who are putting their first kind of songs out and trying to get it out there for the best price that he can do it for, so they can get it out at a, not $10,000 a single or something,
Yeah.
So he'll hire me to do guitar a lot, and it's super cool. And one day, we've all kind of been in and out of bands with each other. So it's a 4-piece band, and it's me, it's Holden, and Brent Query is our singer, and then Robert Burrows is playing bass with us. He plays bass for Bart now. So it's a 4-piece, like kind of rock soul band, man, and it's just super fun. It's something we kind of put together during the pandemic because we got a lot of time off, and it seemed like a cool thing to do. So we're putting together this thing, and I think we're going to release a single probably this June, which is that clip that you're going to show. And it's just going to be fun, something to do on our off time.
Awesome.
And the project's called Hollow Bones is the name of the group, and that single's called I Don't Mind.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to play that here for everybody. This is called I Don't Mind.
I'm in the palm of your hand. Everything you do to me. You drive me crazy, can't you see? And don't come crashing down like thunder in the night. All I ever do is try to make things right.
Awesome. Well, I have the big 3 questions that I like to ask all the guests when they come on this podcast. And the first one is, if you could collaborate musically with anyone out there, who would it be?
See, this is one of those hard ones that I was thinking about. And I think if I could collaborate with any artist, this might come to a shock to people just because I love country music. I love playing country music. But I'm kind of into, like, the indie pop music, too. And I think it'd be really cool to collab with the 1975. I think it'd be super cool.
Oh, wow.
They put out a song called The Birthday Party not too long ago, and it was like a cool slow jam, and it actually had banjo and pedal steel
Oh, wow.
in the mix, which was cool. But if I were to do like a country artist, I think it'd be super cool to do something with probably George Strait. Obviously.
Yeah, you'd be crazy to turn that down.
It really would be.
Well,
or let me say this too. I've always been a huge Asleep at the Wheel fan.
Oh, yeah. I got so nervous. So when Ray Benson recovered from COVID, the headline in the post that I first saw about it looked like all the ones that didn't go the right way. And I was just like, are you serious right now? Like, we had just lost Joe Diffie, and then I saw that, but thank goodness he was able to recover and bounce back. But yeah, Sleep at the Wheel would be awesome.
Yeah, man. I saw that too, and I was super worried. I was like, man, I just couldn't. I don't know. Joe Diffie was kind of sad to lose.
Oh, yeah.
If we lost Ray Benson, that'd be bad.
Oh, no. Like, there's been several that's just been like, man, it's weird to see that happen. I saw the UK Prime Minister had it for a while, as Boris Johnson, and he was in ICU, and I thought, if that hits a world leader like that, this thing is just like a whole new level.
Yeah. Think about this. If we lost Ray Benson, I feel like, of course, Jack Inger's doing a lot of the Texas music scene thing now, but, Ray Benson was like, I feel like the face of the Texas music scene show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, gosh, I don't even know how many years he ran that, but I was looking on YouTube, and just through the years, some of the interviews and episodes he's done, and like he had that last Ragweed appearance on there, and it's kind of underplayed because you only had 3 out of the 4 guys on there, and I think that even though they'd already played their last concert, I'm pretty sure that show took place after the end. So it was kind of like sort of a reunion, sort of not. I don't know. That was kind of during that awkward period. But I was like, there's stuff like that on that YouTube channel, and it's just like, there's Ray Benson through all of it.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not sure how involved he is with the show anymore, but I would imagine he probably has something to do with it,
Yeah, and if I always tell people, I'd rather perform that show than the CMAs just because of who's been on it. But speaking of performing and headlining and venues and things like that, if you could perform with a band and headline any venue, where would you go?
Well, I also agree that it would be super cool. I've always wanted to do the Texas music scene. But if I could do any venue, I have to pick two because there's two different kinds. There's outdoor venues and there's indoor venues. If I could perform at two different ones, it would be obviously Red Rocks. I feel like everybody says Red Rocks. And for indoor, I think it'd be so cool to perform at the O2 in London.
Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of reunions for like longtime rock bands that just happen to take place there. I mean, it's like for some reason that arena brings a lot of people back.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's something. I feel like I've never been there, but all the videos I've seen, there's something about that room that sounds incredible.
Oh yeah, I was watching videos of I think when Muse played there. I'm not even a Muse fan, but I just stumbled on a random video of them playing there, and the energy was insane. And then there's been two different Guns N' Roses shows whenever it was just Axl's band, and at the first one, Duff McKagan shows up unexpectedly on stage for the first time in over a decade, and then Izzy Stradlin shows up next time. But I want to say that's also where Led Zeppelin played their reunion. I could be totally wrong about that, but there's just been a lot of good shows that are out there to watch on YouTube just of that arena alone.
Oh yeah, I feel like, pretty much all the biggest acts when they come through there, definitely they're hitting O2.
Yeah. Well, the big finale question, aside from Barf Crow, what is the funniest or craziest story you could tell from your music career so far?
There's a lot of probably stories that involve inappropriate things that I probably don't want to tell. But when it comes down to like just funny, man, when I was playing with Casey Daniels, he had a band, like an old good time band, right?
Yeah.
That we'd travel around in. And it was it was middle of summer. We're talking over triple digits. It's like 103 or something degrees outside, and this thing doesn't have air conditioner. So we were going to Houston to play at
Oh, yeah.
I hate that venue. Absolutely, positively hate that venue. So
is it because of the door falling off the green room, or because you owe money back at the end of the night? Because that happened to me.
Well, probably all those things, but it's the only good thing about that venue is their pizza. I like their pizza. It hits the spot after a show. It's not the best pizza, but it's good pizza. So we're going to Houston, right? And middle of summer, no air conditioner in the van. So we get about halfway probably, and the radiator springs a leak.
Oh.
And so the engine starts overheating. So we pull over in a Walmart parking lot, and he runs in and tries to get some liquid weld or something, which we pretty much knew wasn't going to work, but what the heck, worth a shot. Didn't work. So we were basically going to cancel the show, and somebody was like, man, why don't we just get a U-Haul? Now, mind you, we had a van and a trailer. So our drummer calls U-Haul. We get one booked up, right? And we told them our situation. So basically, they were going to have everything ready to go, so we could literally just throw our stuff in, sign a paper, and get going.
Yeah.
Because we were super late. So we get in, and we pull up, and it's the wrong U-Haul place. We went 30 minutes out of the way from the right U-Haul place. So at that moment, we start driving to the right one instead of just canceling the show. So we're on the way, and our singer gets so mad that we had an oscillating house fan that was blowing on us because we don't have air conditioner. And he rips this thing out. I don't even know how he was powering it. He rips this thing up, and we're going down the highway, and he chunks it out of his driver's door window. And me and the drummer is sitting in the back, and I'm like 19, 20, and I'm scared to death. I'm like, what is he going to do now? And, so long story short, we end up getting the U-Haul, making the show, but we can't pull the trailer with the U-Haul. So, and the U-Haul's only one bench seat, and there's 5 of us. So, once again, middle of summer, 103 degrees outside, and our singer and our other guitar player had to sit in the back of the U-Haul, in the cargo container with all our gear. And they were just like dying. When we finally let them out in Houston, they were just like soaked with sweat.
Oh.
And then, and the story keeps going on. So after we play the show, no one there, of course, because there's never anybody there.
No.
So we get all the way, like halfway home. They're in the back, but they decide to just kind of crack the back door open a little bit, just to get some air in there because they're dying.
Yeah.
And they're like stripped down. Like I think the singer took his pants off, and he's just in his boxers, and they're just laying with their like hands kind of out the crack of the door, just trying to get air, right?
Yeah.
So someone calls the police on us saying, "Hey, there's a U-Haul going down the road with hands hanging out the back." So we get pulled over, and they're like, "Yeah, we got a call, but there's like people in the back, right?" So I'm sitting, we're 3 deep, in the bench seat in the front, and I didn't have a seatbelt on, whatever. I think they might have had a beer or two in the back. And, I mean, I'm thinking, man, here we go. I'm going to jail. Somehow I'm going to jail. And they ended up saying, legally, we can't tell you not to sit back there. So the only thing we ask is that you close the door. So shut them back in there and kept on going to get our van. And we ended up making it home.
Wow.
But that was probably one of the most, crazy, just pain things that's ever happened to me on the road. That was terrible. I hope no one ever has to go through that situation.
That was painful just to listen to. And it's worse having played a couple times at that venue you mentioned, because you do get there is no one there no matter how hard you promote it. That's if your name is spelled correctly on the marquee. It's just
yes. Exactly. I don't know. It was a good time though. I mean, like I said, it was we played the show. The show was fun, other than there not being anyone there, but it was a good memory regardless.
It's a memory, all right.
Oh, I got another funny story. Let me add to this.
Go for it.
Okay, first band I ever played in. I'm not going to mention the bass player's name because I love him, but we're playing middle of the show, and I mean it's our first band. We're basically playing covers out in Mount Pleasant, and there wasn't a lot of people there, but a lot of the singer's friends were there, and they were kind of sitting up front paying attention. And all of a sudden, we just lose all the low end. We're like, what the heck? And I look to my right, and our bass player is sprinting off the stage. And I'm like, what the heck? We're all looking at each other like, what just happened? And he came back, and the whole front of his pants were soaked.
Oh,
he peed himself. He peed himself on stage. Literally peed himself.
I don't know if I'd have come back to the stage. I'd have probably just lied and said, yeah, I had to go throw up. I got really sick.
Yeah, man, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't know how you just did that. I don't think I could ever do that. But that's just a story to all you folks out there. You better go pee before you start those 3-hour sets with no breaks.
Yep. That's the truth. Well, on that, and I'll tell a brief one here. I played a show in College Station about a year ago. This was actually just right about the same time Barf Crow came about, because these are the artists I was in the group chat with, but it was a 3-artist event at Cavalry Court in College Station, and AJ Gale started it off, and then I played second part, and then I jumped on bass guitar to fill in that night for Vanessa Lynn Bird's band. And we're all ready to play. I'm like, okay, well, I just played for like an hour, so I'm gonna hit the restroom first. And I go in there, and lo and behold, I hear them start playing. It was like, let's haze the guest here. Start playing before the bass player's even on stage. So you talk about having to finish up, rush out, and just jump right on stage. I mean, I think I hit the guitar right as the first note hit, but I look over, and her husband was playing drums that night, and he's just like cracking up laughing. I was like, yeah, real funny, man.
Yeah, man, gotta take care of business. Go pee.
You gotta do it. Well, man,
at least you remembered to pee before.
Yeah, true that. Well, Hunter, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the road sometime soon, whenever all this quarantine is over, and we'll have to meet up at a show sometime, and I'll have to catch Bart and all that. Glad you came on the podcast.
Oh yeah, man, thanks for having me. I love doing the podcast. I super enjoy podcasts. Like Joe Rogan's podcast, I absolutely love it.
I've only got about 12 more episodes to catch up to however many he's got. You know, I'm getting there.
There you go, right? 12 times about 60.
Times, yeah.
Yeah, man, that podcasts are super fun. I don't know why there's not a lot more of like the Texas ones with like really great content. Because I mean, there's definitely a niche there. You know,
Yeah.
People could make it. So
it's true, and you know, ironically, for somebody that records albums and now has a podcast, I hate listening to the sound of my voice, especially speaking, and so that's part of why I was like, I'm just not going to do it. But finally, for that reason you just mentioned, I thought we do need more of these on the Texas scene. I thought, you know, I'll just go ahead and do one.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, I feel like everybody hates the sound of their voice once they listen back. So you're not alone there.
Well, Hunter, I appreciate it, man. You take care, and we'll catch you soon.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.